Hi, friends. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Hi. I'm going live. Hello. Hoping that some people will be joining us. So hey, if you don't know me, I am Sabrina, and I spend quite a few weekends standing in front of some of the most beautiful, emotional, joy-filled moments of people's lives. I'm a wedding officiant, which means that I get a front row seat to those love stories in real time. And being in that position has gotten me to think about something. We put so much time, energy, money, Pinterest boards, group texts, fittings, tastings, and planning into that wedding day. But the wedding only lasts for a few hours. The marriage, it lasts decades. So tonight I just want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about centerpieces. I don't want to talk about seating charts. Not the trending colors, but what actually makes a marriage last. What I've noticed about the couples who look at each other like they're choosing each other, not just on the wedding day, but in everyday life. What makes vows more than just words? And why the ceremony, that quiet 20 or 30 minutes in the middle of all that celebration, might actually matter more than people realize. Whether you've been married for 40 years, you're newly engaged, single and hopeful, or you're just curiously stopping by here to see what's going on, this conversation is for you. So tell me in the comments, how long have you been married? Or if you're not, what is one quality you think matters most in a lifelong commitment? Let's talk about real love tonight. So there's a moment in almost every wedding where the music fades down, the guests quiet down, and all eyes turn to the front. It's the part of the day that everything has been leading up to. And yet, it's often the part that couples think about the least. Flowers get hours of attention. Seating charts cause group text debates. Cake flavors are sampled. First dances are rehearsed. But the ceremony? Sometimes it becomes an afterthought, right? Sometimes something to get through so that the party can start. And that's exactly why a love story ceremony matters so much. Because when it's done intentionally, the ceremony isn't something to rush past. It becomes the heartbeat of the entire day. So let's talk honestly for a moment. There are wedding ceremony scripts that are floating around out there everywhere. Templates, fill in the blank vows, generic readings that could apply to literally anyone standing at the altar. They're not wrong. They're just safe. They talk about love in broad terms, commitment, partnership, forever. Beautiful words. But again, they could belong to any couple. A cookie cutter ceremony says, love is patient, love is kind, marriage is a journey. A love story ceremony says, on your third date, when you both got caught in that unexpected Texas downpour and ended up laughing in the parking lot instead of running for cover, that was the moment you both realized that this was different. See the difference? One speaks about love in theory. The other speaks about your love in reality. That's what changes everything. When a ceremony is custom written around a couple's actual journey, the quirks, the milestones, the challenges, the private jokes, it stops being a script. It becomes a story. And people lean in when a story begins. There's something powerful that happens when guests recognize pieces of the couple in the story ceremony. When the bride's best friend hears that officiant mention how stubborn she can be and smiles knowingly. When the groom's father hears a story of how his son nervously approached and asked permission before proposing. When the couple hears their own journey spoken back to them with care and intention, the room shifts. The phones lower, people's whispering stops, people listen. Because storytelling is human. It pulls people in. It connects them. It makes the ceremony feel less like a formal obligation and more like a shared experience. Guests don't remember generic phrasing. They remember the moment everybody laughed together. They remember the moment the bride wiped away a tear because she hadn't expected to hear that part of the story spoken out loud. They remember how the room felt. And that emotional shift, it's not accidental. It's intentional storytelling. Here's something most couples don't realize. The ceremony sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. Let me repeat that. The ceremony sets the emotional tone for everything that follows. If the ceremony feels rushed or impersonal, the day can feel fragmented, like the meaningful part was skipped. But when the ceremony feels deeply personal, the reception feels warmer. The speeches feel more connected. The first dance feels less performative and more intimate. Because guests now understand the couple on a deeper level. They're not just celebrating two people getting married. They're celebrating this story. The love ceremony anchors the day. It reminds everyone why they're gathered here in the first place. And for the couple, it becomes the moment that grounds them in the middle of all of the excitement. When nerves are high and hearts are racing, hearing your story told back to you brings you back to center. It reminds you why you're standing there. This is something I believe deeply. An officiant isn't just there to legalize the marriage license. An officiant shapes the most important conversation of the day. When I stand with a couple, I'm not reading a generic template that I've used 100 times. I'm speaking about them, the way they met, the way they balance each other, the way one is calm while one is spontaneous, the way they handled long distance, the way they navigated loss, the way they grew together. I don't just show up and read words. I tell your story. And when couples hear their own story honored in front of the people who matter most, something sacred happens. They feel seen. They feel known. They feel celebrated for who they really are, not just for the event they're hosting. That's the difference. Custom storytelling also makes personal vows more powerful. When vows are woven into a ceremony that already reflects the couple's personality, they don't feel awkward or out of place. They feel natural. Instead of sounding like something borrowed from the internet, they sound like promises made between two real humans who understand each other's strengths and flaws. And when those vows are supported by a ceremony that has already painted a picture of their relationship, they land differently. The laughter is fuller. The tears are softer. The room holds its breath. because the audience isn't hearing abstract promises. They're hearing promises rooted in content. A love story ceremony isn't theatrical, it's intentional. It doesn't try to impress, it tries to reflect. When a couple feels safe and understood during their ceremony, they relax. They look into each other's eyes more. They breathe more steadily. They smile without forcing it. And that presence is contagious. Guests feel it. The photographer captures it. The entire energy shifts from event to experience. Here's something couples don't really realize. They rarely think about this during their planning phase. Years from now, when the details blur, when the exact shade of the bridesmaids' dresses is forgotten, when the cake flavor is a distant memory, what remains? The promise, the words spoken, the feeling in the air when two lives officially intertwined. Many couples tell me later that the ceremony became their favorite part of the day. Not the reception, not the dance floor, the ceremony. Because that was the only moment when everything slowed down, when they were fully present, when they heard their story honored. That's not an accident. That's the power of personalization. Now, every couple is different. Some are playful and witty. Some are quiet and deeply romantic. Some are traditional with a modern twist. Some are spiritual but not religious. Some are blending families. Some are starting fresh chapters of their lives. A love story ceremony adapts to that. It doesn't force a couple into a mold. It meets them where they are. And when a ceremony truly feels like you, it doesn't just check a box. It becomes unforgettable. Now, there's nothing wrong with a simple ceremony. There's nothing wrong with traditional vows. But if you want your wedding to feel personal, you want your guests to lean in, if you want the emotional tone of your day to feel grounded and intentional, then your ceremony deserves thought. It deserves storytelling. It deserves someone who understands that this isn't just an event. It's a covenant. It's the beginning of a lifelong chapter. And your story, the real one, the messy and beautiful and uniquely yours one, it deserves to be told. Because your story isn't generic. Your love isn't generic. And your ceremony should not be either. I've been talking for 15 minutes now. Well, 13. And I really came here to answer questions. I don't think anybody's in the room. So if you're catching this on the replay, put your thoughts down below and definitely tell me how long you've been married. And again, if you're not married, what do you think is the most important quality that you're looking for in your special someone? Now, before I wrap up, and I am going to wrap up because I'm not going to take this entire hour, but I am going to wrap this thing up. But I just want to leave you with this. After standing with so many couples, after watching nervous hands calm down when they hold and interlace their fingers together, after hearing words and vows spoken through those happy tears, I've realized something. The wedding is a celebration, but the marriage is a decision. It's 1,000 tiny choices that no one sees. It's choosing patience when you're tired. It's choosing kindness when you're frustrated. It's choosing laughter when things feel heavy. The strongest couples I have witnessed are not perfect. They don't have flawless love stories. They just keep choosing each other. And that's what makes it beautiful. If you're married, keep on choosing. If you're engaged, build your foundation intentionally. If you're single, know that real love is not about perfection. It's about partnership. And if you're planning a wedding someday, don't rush past the ceremony. Those words you speak, they matter. That promise you make, it matters. The story you tell, it matters. Because long after the cake is gone and the dress has been packed away, those vows are what remain. Well, thank you for spending this time talking about something that truly matters. Love is worth celebrating, but it's even more worth protecting. I want you to have a beautiful night. And remember this, the wedding is a moment, but the promise is a lifetime. Good night. I love you all.